Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we're here with a video on if the PSA pop reports have slowed down, and if so, by how much for different players in soccer. So usually we give a smaller term breakdown in terms of a few months here and there, how's it going? This is going to be more of a long format. How have the pops changed from, during the time where PSA was flooded with submissions to now where they still have a good amount, but they're not, obviously flooded. Prices are coming down. It's more normal in terms of what's going on there. So it'll be interesting to see how the pop reports for different types of cards in soccer have changed. I've gotten cards, in the $1 to $100 range. I got cards in the 100 to 1,000 and 1,000 plus range. So really everything in terms of price range. So we should be able to hit most of the bases, and that's what we're going to do right now. So I am over on GemRate right now. This is a very useful site for looking into data of players over time. I also have Card Ladder as well, and we'll be mixing between the two as I see fit. On GemRate, you can just go to player data, type in a name of a player, and from there you can generate a chart where it will give you basically all of the cards of that player that are graded. From there, you can basically sort however you'd like. You can go by year, you can go by set, you can go by highest total amount graded, which is what we're looking at here. And I'm going to take a look through Messi to start because, given the World Cup win and sort of where he's at, that would seem to be the most relevant for the time being. I'll go through different levels of cards because I feel like it's appropriate to get an idea where everything's at. So to start, we're going to go with what was at one point the hottest card on the market and now is, kind of forgotten about. That is the 2014 Panini Prism base Lionel Messi. Still a great card, just not, the rookie hype that it once was. More of a, a nice card from a nice set, but still a base. As you can tell, over time, the population reports have still climbed pretty substantially. This graph is going from 2021 in April until the current 2023 in March. So about 2 years in total. It's also important to note that most of these graphs you'll see are coming off of the boom that happened right before it in terms of pricing. So a lot of people saw the boom pricing, then went and submitted a ton. And as you can tell here, and I'm guessing we'll see in other graphs, there's going to be sometimes this exponential sort of climb and then a more steadying off, which is good to see, but you still want to, sort of see what's going on back here and really take note of the entire graph. But that should be a common trend that I would expect. You can kind of tell that it's happening because PSA is changing their prices, and you can tell turnaround times are getting quicker. So if there are just in total less cards in the PSA system, there's probably going to be less put back onto the market. Just makes sense to me. Also, the types of cards will change over time, so that's going to be important. What people were submitting during the Prism craze might not be what they're submitting now. So that was the base Prism. Now I'm going to go on over to Card Ladder and check out the Monday Chromos. So here I have a PSA 8. Generally speaking, you'd assume most of them to follow the same trend. This is the highest pop of the Monday Chromos, so it feels like the best to go ahead and use. Looking down at the graph, and now we can see the population growth over time. This is about the same time frame as the graph that we looked at before, just about 4 months later. So this is August of 2021. It's at 194. And as you can see, in the first month goes up about 10. The next month it goes up about 5, about 10. And so between 5 and 10 basically every month, with some being more, some being less. Generally speaking, that's what we came to expect. Pretty recent, that slowed down a little bit. Now, to be fair, at the end of 2022 and going into 2023, there are still, a decent amount getting graded. But as we've gone into this year, at the start of the year, it was at 317, and now it's at 325 after about 4 months. So that's 2 a month compared to the 5 to 10 that were coming in before. I would assume that, say for instance, I guess we can check the 6s. There's still probably a lot coming in month by month. Maybe they haven't changed. That would be interesting to take a peek at. Yeah, so no, even in the 6s, those have really slowed down too. So my intuition would have said, people basically stop grading the good ones because they don't have them anymore. They already sent them in, so maybe they'll send in some of the med ones. This one actually, 116 going into the year. 119 now, so less than 1 a month. And so, see, I think that that's going to be a lot more favorable to where prices are. If that continues, then see what we're having back here. I mean, in November of 2021, it was at 67. A month later, it's at 75. So you have 8 of them probably being sold in the market. Maybe only 4 or 5 are sold, who knows? But that's a lot more than what would seem to be happening here. And looking through multiple grades, you can kind of see that that's not just a one-off. The same sort sort of overall trend is true with the 71 bis as well. I looked up the PSA 6 because that's the highest graded one in totality, and for the population reports, it's pretty steady. At least from August of last year, it was at 135. Now it's at 144. So in, you know, almost 8 months, there's about 8 graded. So that is relatively low compared to what we were seeing before. Back here, I mean, it went up 7 in one singular month in 2021, which is about as much as we've seen in the last 8. In high grades, actually, there's still been a tapering off recently, but there was a bit more coming in the later parts of 2022 that we didn't see with the PSA 6s. Now, when I go on over to the GemRate site, that actually doesn't appear to be the case. Over here, basically, it seems that it just continues to climb pretty much endlessly. Now, I would say, at least from those graphs, it would appear to me that this is probably going to be a leveling off part here soon, but also you have to imagine that people are grading every single grade of this, right? I said that with the Monday Chromo. That's not really true. If you have a really low grade Monday Chromo, it's not really worth sending in. You'll probably get a good price raw for it. With the 71 bis, everyone wants it graded because they want to know it's real, because there are a lot of people faking it, so that's going to be problematic. And actually one of the few cards where the total amount of gems has gone down over time, so there you go. You got that working in your favor if you got a 10. So we'll look at Kylian Mbappe now. There's a couple ones that I'd like to take a peek at. The first one is going to be the Panini Prism because, you know, like the Messi, it just sort of makes sense, and that was a really big card at one point, and I mean, still is to an extent, especially colored and whatnot. And I'll also look at the Panini Foot, because in my opinion, the Panini Foot is so cool. I know people don't really like it, but, you know, everyone tries to push some modern stickers, and like, if any modern sticker should be worth something, it's Mbappe's rookie. But nonetheless, I digress. I also don't own any, so this isn't a personal pump, I'm just saying. That's my opinion. 2018 Panini Prism Kylian Mbappe. Here we have the total amount getting graded, and also, you know, the other information they like with the gem rate and the total gems. This is a graph that, again, seems to be having that sort of steep increase right here. To be fair, the steep increase was back here, and then sort of a tapering off to an extent. Also, as you can tell, again, gem rates dropping over time, could be PSA. Really not too drastic in terms of the drop. Some other things you'll notice that that's a bit steeper, but not much to see there. That's sort of what we came to expect, I guess, given the 2014 Messi. With the 2016 Panini Foot, I am interested in this, and I didn't really expect that. I figured, I mean, this is much more of a straight up and then sort of level, rather than one of those curved ones. This is just pretty abrupt. So it's still climbing, yes, but I did check, and in high grades, as you can tell down here, going from 19.3% to 16.2, not really climbing. I mean, in gems, it's only gone up, what, 20 in the last almost 20 months-ish, so not a ton of gems coming in, still a decent amount getting graded. If you look around for these, you can find packs and boxes, so surely they're out there and will continue to come into PSA, but, you know, in what quantity, that's always going to be a question. We can check both of the Ronaldo rookies as well, since that's going to be pretty meaningful. This one doesn't give us too much of a graph over time, so I'll have to head on over to Card Ladder to get a better one, but as you can kind of tell, seems to be pretty slow and steady for the football sticker. On Card Ladder, we have a PSA 8 here because that's the lowest grade that they have. This is a graph that goes back to almost the peak of the market in 2021, and from there in PSA 8 grade, it's gone from 31 up to 39 with a fall off here of 1 for some reason or another. Nonetheless, I expected this to be definitely going up more recently. Apparently not really the case. At the last year and a half at this point, there have been 3 graded in that grade, so not very plentiful. So we'll take a look here at PSA 6s for the Mega Cracks. This is not going to be a great comparison in terms of Mega Cracks to football stickers, since this is a PSA 6 compared to an 8. I more so picked this one because it's one of the, you know, more plentiful ones that we'd be able to see more of a change in population. That's really what all this is about. So going on down, this is more of the same, really. Now, I mean, you know, 36 to 47, that's a plus 11. So again, not very much at all. To be fair, though, I guess this graph is a lot less time. So the one before this for the sticker was, you know, going back all the way to 2021 in April. This is only 2022 in May. So a whole year and a month missing. So keeping that in mind, still a pretty decent increase, I guess, at the beginning. That probably had a decent increase before it, but since the new year, again, sort of tapers off. Now, to be fair, these are a week apart, while before this is like a month apart. So to be fair, it is also going to make it seem a little skewed. But realistically, since the new year, it's gone from 46 to 47. So again, only one being graded in 4 months. So kind of want to wrap up with some Peles. I don't want to go too deep because honestly, you know, I've looked at some other cards and I think that most of this is going to do the same. So I don't want to belabor the point and sort of drill home, you know, pops are slowing down, because that's kind of what this all gets at and sort of what I was feeling going into it. It's just sort of something I've been noticing lately. So here for PSA 2 Aquarela, Brazilian stuff kind of gets this narrative that, you know, there's more of it coming to market because, I mean, at least from a lot of people's experience, it seems to be the case. It'll be interesting to see how this graph has gone. So I don't know what happened right there. Okay, so I know, you know, I kind of joke every now and then we'll see like a -1 to the pop, and I'm like, you know, what happened, PSA? They probably graded a fake, or maybe it was trimmed or something. 3 going down right there? Like, what? I don't know if that's someone cracking them and just sending the slip back to take them out of the population. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I do not know what that is. It bounced right back up. So maybe it's just a error. Nonetheless, went from 33 up to 41 in the span of, this is August 2022. So about 1 a month for the Aquarellas and PSA 2, which is the most common grade. For the high grades, it'd be interesting to see if these are coming in more. I guess a 3, we'll go with a 4 and see what that does. A 4, no, there's only been 1 over the last 8 months. So yeah, not very common in terms of high grades coming out. It would not appear. Keep in mind, this is just PSA. There are other companies, of course. So then checking out the Alifa 1958, I felt like this would be fun because this is basically seen as like the grail of vintage soccer for the most part. Obviously, you can debate that as much as you want, but in a PSA 1 of which there are 16, the growth is pretty substantial, at least in the beginning here, up until May of 2022. Then it's at 15, and there's only been 1 since in about a year's time. So again, you know, pretty decent increase right here, going from 10 all the way up to 15 in about a year, and then in the following year, only 5 the first year, 1 the next year, so that is not too bad either. So that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Just sort of me going through a ton of different graphs and making what I can of it. Honestly, it was really fun, and it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but generally speaking, the results seem to be my feel in the market, which is I look at these PWCC weeklies and they aren't as good as they once were. Now, that's not saying the market's going to turn. That's not saying, you know, everyone's going to start spending tons, because obviously we're not in the sort of, you know, climate for that. But generally speaking, you know, there's not the plethora of options that I once had, which is a little disheartening, but seeing this sort of information makes it, you know, more obvious why that might be. But it's always nice to do these sorts of videos, gives you a bit of a grasp, and myself included, and always a fun time. So if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. Anything you'd love to tell me or others, would love to hear in a comment down below. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.